In the studio, we have been joined by the country's Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Dr. Isata Mahoi. She is here to talk about the outcome of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on the theme Unite to End Violence Against Women and Girls. Now, the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is a global campaign that raises awareness and galvanizes action to end violence against women and girls, which spans from the 25th of November, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, to the 10th December, which is also the International Human Rights Day. And added to this, we would also be reviewing her ministry in 2024 and, of course, what her plans are for 2025. So good morning and welcome, Madam Minister.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers and listeners.
Good morning.
I'd like to start off with having you firstly paint us a picture of the statistics that we do have on gender-based violence, at least in Sierra Leone.
Okay, thank you very much for the year 2024, starting January to now. It will be interesting and appalling for you to know that 81% of the cases we have recorded on gender-based violence are sexual gender-based violence. And the rest you have physical, other domestic, and also emotional. With that, also, it is for under sexual gender-based violence, 91% of them are children. It tells you that these people, ages between 3 to 17 years, are those that are more vulnerable in society when it comes to violence against women and girls. And 75% of those that are also victims of gender-based violence are between ages 12 and 17. This population is a school-going population because there's a lot of school gender-based violence that is happening as well, being perpetrated by people they trust in the schools environment. For me, I feel that this is a population that we need to protect and also provide mechanisms or establish mechanisms that will help in terms of ending sexual gender-based violence. You know, you gave a very good background there, talking about when the campaign, the 16 days of activism campaign started. But I want to tell viewers and listeners that this is some 29 years ago, around 1995, when it was declared a day of elimination of all forms of violence against women. And this is why every year since that time, we have been commemorating the 16 days of activism from 25th of November to 10th December, which is Human Rights Day. And even between that period, there are also days of that we are observing as a country, as a continent, and globally as well. So for me, I think the issue of gender-based violence is something that the world all over has to take seriously and also put measures or mechanisms in place for violence against women to end.
The statistics you've just given is really worrisome. Yeah. Just in 2019, you know, we had seen a state of emergency on cases that have to do with rape, sexual assault, and of course, in this case, we're dealing with sexual penetration. What are the systems in place? Because 16 days of activism is not enough to handle all this.
I was coming because I need to explain to people to understand what the strategies, the ministry, the government has put in place a lot. In fact, starting off with the Hands of Our Girls project, program which the First Lady has championed. This is one of the reasons why, because, you know, girls in our societies suffer a lot from harmful cultural practices, sexual gender-based violence, you name them. And this was why she mounted that particular campaign, and the campaign is doing very well.
How effective is it to actually provide results in present day?
Well, I would say it is very much effective, coupled with other strategies that are there. You understand that the president himself proclaimed 2019 as a year of a rape emergency, and this was why the special court for sexual penetration, the model special court, was established. And in recent weeks, we have also opened another special court in Kailau, so making it 2 in the country. So we're looking at ways of trying to get more than 2, at least getting it in every region, so that it will be easy. It will also fast track some of those cases. The Sexual Offences Act was also amended in that same year in 2019, because the government takes these cases very seriously, and then we feel that it is our statutory obligation for us to meet the expectations of people by protecting our women and the young ones.
Just to come back to that, this statutory obligation that you've just mentioned, we do not have a landmark ruling or decision yet, wherein even the common man in Sierra Leone will be able to, you know, always source or reference when they talk about cases that have to do with sexual and gender-based violence.
There is data. There is data, and we want to see that data is also made available to the public. But there is data. Rainbow Initiatives has data in all their centers in which they operate, and then this is why we have set up also the one-stop centers where there is no Rainbow Initiatives, and trying to escalate to more areas where we do not have Rainbow Initiatives. Already we have partners coming in to support, because this is a cause that we need to fight, not only as a government, but also in a collective way by collaborating with other partners. So the one-stop centers, with that, there is an accompanying toll-free line which people will call, which is the 116 toll-free line. You call, depending on the location where you're calling from, they will direct you to the nearest one-stop centers. Sometimes there are many challenges associated. But we'll also say that we've also seen that in recent months and weeks, there is an increase on the reported cases. It's not that they have not been happening before. It's not that they are only happening now, but it's also the awareness that has been there, the mechanisms that have been put in place that is also encouraging or motivating people to call when they have been abused, or their children or sisters have been abused. So the one-stop centers are in the 7 districts in all government hospitals where there is no Rainbow Initiative. So you go there, you have access to medical screening and also other medical services or facilities. And we are working closely with the Ministry of Health. We are working closely with the Ministry of Education. We have signed MOUs with the Ministry of Education on how to protect girls, especially when they are within the school's environment as well. So, but the associated challenges are many times some of these cases have been reported either to the FSU or to the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs. Sometimes they report and do not come forward because of compromises within the families, because many of these cases occur within the family, the household, or the community. So they will sit and preside over these matters, making them family talk or community talk, which is not the case, because rape cases or sexual penetration cases are cases of the state, and this is why it is good for people to report them and do not compromise. But because of lack of evidence as well, and we do not have a forensic lab to also detect DNAs, of especially when penetration or rape has occurred, to identify, because sometimes we also need those particular facilities to help us determine cases. And because of this, there is always lack of evidence in most of the cases, and we cannot pursue.
Your submissions has already shown that there is much to be done with regards to the fight against gender-based violence. One of which you just mentioned is identification, which remains a very crucial
protection of evidence as well.
But again, Madam Minister, the aspect of disproportionate impact more so on persons with disability, women who are with disability,
so
seem very much alarming. The statistics: 2 in 3 of persons with disability are faced with these problems.
For any woman that is impacted on these abuses, just know that there are persons with disability who are more at risk because of their vulnerability. So this is why our focus is targeting people, especially in vulnerable conditions. This is why we're working closely with the Ministry of Social Welfare as well, because they are in charge of this group of persons. And when it comes to women and children that are disabled, it is also in our ambit for us to be able to work together with the Ministry of Social Welfare to see how best we'll be able to provide facilities for them. And you will agree with me that before now, even in the hospitals and places where they access services, most of them are not disabled friendly. But now the government and partners, even when they are providing services, they make sure that these services are mostly disabled friendly. We are not there yet, but we're getting there gradually. No, change does not come at once. It comes gradually, but we're making strides in that particular area. It is appalling. Sometimes I do not understand why people want to take advantage of people that are already vulnerable. For me, I say it's the beast in them that is showing up. And it's uncalled for in society, and it is men who perpetrate mostly this violence against women. Why don't we work as allies? This is why on the 16 days of activism, we've launched the Real Man campaign. The Real Man campaign is identifying real men in the society, in the communities, that will help champion the cause. In 2020, you will also note that the president himself in Canberra launched the male involvement strategy, which the ministry has been working closely with people in communities also involving men, because it is men mostly that perpetrate this violence, and if they do not come to the fore, if we do not engage them, we'll not be able to achieve our desire.
As you've already mentioned real men, just the other day we had a guest in our studio who spoke about the MOVE agenda, which is also part of the 16 days of activism. But most times the initiative is one that is indeed laudable. The fact is that the case continues to be very pervasive in our societies. But it seems more of an event-driven. Just within a twinkle of an eye, you will see everything just went back docile and all the rest. How assured are we? So that of course we'll see real actions.
Yeah, since I took up office, you realize that many initiatives have been coming, and we are implementing. Implementing this, even beginning from the statutory or the legal frameworks that we have in this country. Sierra Leone is one of those countries that have many good laws, and we've not been implementing much. So we, as a ministry, have devised strategies in our ministry to see how best we get a multi-sectoral approach, wherein each sector is also charged with the responsibility of ensuring that we implement most of these, if not all of these laws or legal frameworks that we have put together. In fact, because we are implementing, because they see now that there is trust in the system, this is why it is also evident that this is why cases are being reported, because people were ashamed to report because of the stigma. People were ashamed to report because they feel that it will bring divide within the family settings. But with the awareness raising at community level, we now know that people now understand that they will be protected, even though the systems are actually not fully in place. Because imagine a girl or a woman has been raped in a particular community. She reported this matter, and people know that she has reported the matter. The police is now involved, the judiciary is there, the Ministry of Health is there, the Ministry of Gender is there. So that person will be considered as something that has betrayed the community structures.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that person should not go back to that particular community immediately. So where do we have
safe homes?
Yes, safe homes.
Yeah, safe space.
This person will be immediately transferred to a safe home until the matter is being dealt with, until the case is being resolved. Then the person can go back to the community if the person chooses to go. But many times the challenge is we do not have many safe homes. And this is what we have been working together with our partners to see how we're going to establish many more safe homes. Thank God we've got proposals from some people that have decided to help us with 1 or 2 safe homes where people will feel comfortable, where you have all the protection mechanisms holistically to address these issues.
And what is the government also doing with regards to
Of course,
safe homes?
the government is working tirelessly. This is why I am there as the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, to also work with them to put protective measures in place. The government, even though we have a very small budget, very tight one, but we are making sure that we use that judiciously to protect the services. And sometimes you see even some of my colleagues in the ministry, we are in cases come to the ministry, even for some medical purposes, for people that do not meet the criteria, they provide from out of pocket. So it tells you how passionate people are when they are working on these issues.
And with the budget just now that you've just mentioned, what did you expend to, what do you intend to actually get out of it? Safe homes, provision of, what did your budget break down to?
That budget is mostly for staff salaries and the running of the office, day-to-day affairs mostly. But sometimes we also get some budgetary support for, like for instance, the 16 days of activism government supported. Part of it was supported by government. Also the implementation of the GUI Act, government also supported through the Ministry of Finance, but these are small budgetary support. But also because this is why partners are also there, like UNICEF, UNFPA, the UN family is very much supportive, UN Women, Irish Aid is there, now Iceland has come, and then the Chinese have also proposed of helping us with a safe home.
That's the area that I wanted to narrow down, into the aspects of laws. Domestically, we've had fine legislations that do speak to these issues, but it seems they are just on paper.
No,
we have fine laws.
It's not the case. I've made it very much clear, and I've explained about twice why we are getting cases reported, because the norms are changing. Why are they changing? Because there is awareness at the level of the community. People are beginning to understand that rape case not to family talk. Rape case na court case. So we need for report them. Before now they happen and people don't report. They keep it and they mass them. And because the awareness is there, because we are going at reaching the community level, which we want to do a lot more, because many communities are also disadvantaged because of the localities where they are, because also the limited resources that we have. But thank God the European Union plus the UN, they are working together. Maybe by early next year we'll start the Spotlight Initiative, which is focusing basically on ending SGBV. So this will also add strength, even though that amount is not enough. It's only for very few districts, but then we want to see that we get complementary support from other partners like the World Bank and other areas, maybe the African Development Bank. So the ministry is working with partners, talking, and then also sharing these concerns, because we cannot keep quiet about them, because gender is one of those things that there is a lot on the portfolio.
Have we had cases of men coming forward to report cases?
Yes, we have had few cases. We have had few cases, about 1% of those other cases.
Why is that the case?
Yeah, well, because you see now men don't usually talk, but because of the campaigns, because of the awareness raising, because of the community outreaches that we are having, so people are feeling comfortable now. So maybe by next year, when we'll be talking about reported cases, you will see a lot of men. You hear that even on the 25th, when the First Lady launched the 16 Days of Activism and the Real Man campaign, it was very much focused. She was very much focused on how to get men to talk, because our boys are also suffering. And it is also men that are still perpetrating most of this violence. A very few, very few would be women. And it will not be sexual, maybe physical or some other. But men are beginning to come out, because the ego, men feel that, oh, if I talk about this, then go laugh me. If I talk about this, people go provoke me, say, well, you're not a lazy man, you're not a poor man, So this is why people, men specifically, feel ashamed. But now, because the awareness is there, we have launched the Real Man campaign, and then there is also the male involvement strategies. We are beginning to see fruits coming up.
I will agree to some extent that indeed men go through a lot in these homes. emotional,
and so women go through a lot more than what men go through. Yeah. Yes.
But again,
no, it is glaring in the statistics, you will know.
Because men hardly come out to talk.
Well, yeah, so let them talk. So when they talk about these things, we know what more strategies to employ. So it's better for them to talk because it kills, We want our men, our young men, to be people in society that will be there to uphold the development strides that we have already made and also sustain them for the future. So if we keep destroying our young people, we keep impacting on them negatively, then it becomes a challenge for the country to succeed.
What is then society's role in all of what we're talking about, more so in terms of men coming out to talk? Because it's as a result of the manner to which society has constructed things.
Exactly.
That's why men find it very hard to come out.
Yes,
you've already mentioned when a man comes out to say ABC and D, they will boat him.
Yeah, because this is what they tell us.
And all the rest.
This is what they tell us, and we feel that we also feel their pain. We feel that, and they also need support, and there is the support system. So you go through the same support as the women are also going through. So the services are there not to only support women. The services are there for gender purposes. The disabled, the children, the women, the young people, you name them. The albinos are also a case wherein, you see, now we have seen a community of albinos now. We have a very good number of albinos that are coming up, So before now, it's not like that, even though we are not adverse to that particular population when it comes to protecting them. We feel, as Sierra Leone feel, but other countries, they are very much, they have hate, they have anger against that particular population, and they do certain things to them that are inhuman. But in Sierra Leone, no, we all live together, we cohabit. We share initiatives together, we work. So there is a population now and they feel comfortable working because the environment is there, the enabling environment is there, and the political will also is something that we must commend this government for. His Excellency precisely, that there is the political will, and inclusivity is the focus. So for us as a government, we have been doing a lot more in terms of bringing people together. And you agree with me that the narratives were not like this before. The narratives were not like this before. A lot is happening, and this is why we are having many people coming forward.
Let's go back to awareness raising in communities. I want us to talk on closure. Now, a lot of times, what a lot of people also know in communities is that XYZ happened, ABC had suffered gender-based violence at home and all of that. But when these cases have also been reported, how do they come back to communities to let them know that this was how this matter was settled? This is the ruling in this particular case. Because when you do some of this and you let the public also know how certain cases were determined, then you might have a whole chunk who would actually refrain from some of those actions.
Okay, so some of those cases are cases that are always kept confidentially. So maybe people do not want to talk about them once they have happened. They have moved on. But it's also it has to do with counseling, engaging, talking with the victims. So like a victim-centered approach, which we're using, trying to ensure that we reach out to the victims all the time. Because some cases, they will not want community to come and preside over them again. So we have mechanisms put in place wherein we always go back to see, and we will always even ask them, if you have challenges, let us know. Our lines are open, the office is there, our staff are in the provinces. You always get in touch with them if there are challenges. But there are some, especially, these issues came up when I was doing like a familiarization tour in some of the districts, particularly in Banff. It came up Moyamba as well, that like cases of murder or rape, that sometimes when they try the perpetrators, they are not tried within the communities. So the families do not get to know what actually transpired in the courts. So they will want to know how the trial went on, how they got justice. But sometimes they feel justice was not served because they are not there to witness. Imagine taking people from far away places. You know, the case occurred in a very small village in Bonth, Opujon, or Moyamba, and it was tried, the matter is tried in Moyamba, mostly in Moyamba town. Transportation to get the victims' family or relatives to witness the trial, how the trial is going, so that they feel satisfied. It's also problematic. So these are some of the challenges. So the systems, you know, the resource gap is there. We are not able to address this. When sometimes even victims, when they call from faraway places, we do not have the mechanisms to get them to come. So sometimes they don't come to the one-stop centers where they get services because of lack of transportation. But thank God for partners like World Vision and others, they have supported us with motorbikes, which we feel at times, so that when calls are depending on the location, we get them, bring them to the centers. But also you look at cases where they have to arrest the perpetrator. How many vehicles do the police have? They are also constrained to bring victims to the police stations. So sometimes you see victims and perpetrators in the same vehicle or the same motorbike, you know, putting the victim more at risk. So all of these things we know because of the engagements in the communities. We've got those information, so we're working to see closely how we're going to end all of these problems.
And with the FSU as well, with the FSU, how do you also, your ministry, how do you ensure you work with the FSU? Because sometimes matters which have been reported, you don't even get to see the perpetrators even after they've been arrested. Yeah.
So these are the challenges I'm talking about. But I'm also, the FSU is doing its work, and I would also always like to commend the IG. This present IG that we have is very, very much responsive. You know, there's not a time when I've called him on a certain matter to say, IG, have you seen this? IG, this is what has happened. Immediately he will respond. If I'm there with him, he will call, or I'll be on the line, he will call to say, oh, there's this matter that has been reported to the police station. Who is the LFC in charge? I want action. Or if he has already got, they will tell me that I have done X, Y, Z on this particular matter. So he has been very much supportive. But always there will be challenges. And the challenges are sometimes out of the ministry's reach mandate, you know, because we can just do monitoring and facilitating how these cases are also being tried. And sometimes also, when the victims report, sometimes they refuse to show up again because the pressure they get from society.
Compromise.
Yes, so they compromise a lot. And compromise is one of the things that is debarring the success of this. And the law, the Sexual Offences Act itself also, is also bringing some delays. The way the law was carved. I know that time we were very much emotional because of the trend of events at that time, and we rushed to pass the law. But now, whilst implementing, we have identified gaps with the judiciary, because we work together, the judiciary, the security sector. We have identified these gaps, and we have had discussions.
And what are some of these gaps that you think you've identified?
That, you know, there's a clause that says that it is the Attorney General and Minister of Justice that presides over these matters. So imagine that one man with many of the cases that are coming. He does not have the time. There are too many things. He's overwhelmed. That office is overwhelmed. So we have started engagements because we want to understand a lot more from the communities as well, to see what inputs they will bring, so that we make it compulsory for us to take a cabinet paper to say we need to amend that particular law so that it will fit the context and also speed up the trials. We have very few judges as well that are assigned to SP cases, the sexual penetration
But already
cases.
there is a court already.
Yeah, there are courts, there are two courts. Yes. So yes, it's not enough. And sometimes also the judges, they rotate.
Yeah.
So they move from one community to another. So we actually need to get something very much in place that we are very mumuch comfortable, that will fast track most of these cases.
Do you see the need for specialized training for the police?
Certainly, certainly. Even with the FSU, we need many more women within the FSU. We need specialized people, trained, capacitated, so that they will also be able to look at sometimes even in the evidence aspect, because sometimes this is where everything got mixed up. So that capacity building or capacity strengthening is needed. It's something that we have been talking about.
At this juncture, what will you say is one of your key accomplishments as a ministry for the year 2024?
Okay, of course, you know that we have amended the Child Rights Act. The Child Rights Act has been laid in Parliament. Yesterday, we left Parliament after 8 o'clock, about 9 p.m., just looking at this particular bill.
Yet to be enacted.
Yes, because we want that bill, because that bill has a lot of beautiful, strong laws that supports the protection of children. So once that one is passed, maybe we have a few days more to read. I don't want to, I don't want to let the public be agitated about this, but we are hopeful that the bill will pass into law, and we'll develop regulations in the coming year. First quarter, we'll develop the regulations so that it's be implemented. But this is one of the key things. And also the implementation of the GWI. We developed the regulations, tabled to cabinet, sent to parliament. That one has also gone through, gazetted. It's also a milestone, because according to my performance contracts, these are some of the things that we have also reviewed and also sent reports on our statutory obligations to AU. And we are finalizing the Convention on the Rights of the Child reports for the 7th and 8th periodic review, which will also, by end of December, will also submit that particular report. This we are working together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Those are the statutory obligations, and these are landmark, because once you have signed those treaties as a government, you have the obligation, and my ministry is charged with the responsibility. And also, we have seen that on the aspect of financial inclusion, women do a lot in the informal sector. So we are trying to see how best we support with initiatives that has to include women financially.
Because the GWI Act is actually largely silent.
It's not silent
on access to finance for women in informal sectors.
That is one of the key. That is one of the key priority area of the GWI.
It makes provision for same.
Exactly.
The other day, interestingly, I was writing a thesis, and I had to ask my colleague who is a lawyer, say, can you help me with the provision? She was like, go to the GWI Act, and I had to read through, and that was the time I noticed it.
Yes, all of these are new, but the Act is saying, you look at the leadership position, women in leadership position, financial
But the focus is more on politics. There are many fine provisions within the GWI Act.
Yes,
the focus is more on politics.
So this is why...
It seems the ministry has also failed in ensuring that they create the required awareness on what is in that.
The awareness is ongoing. It is only now that we send the regulations during my term. It is only now that we send the regulations, and without those regulations, it's not binding.
Right.
Yes. So we have sent the regulations, and implementation is going. This is why we're working with Women's Forum as well at the community level, because Women's Forum is a network of women's organizations, an association of women's organizations that are there at community level. So the awareness raising is there, implementation is ongoing. So this is also very, very key. And we want people to understand exactly what is in the GWI, even on sexual harassment. And it's interesting that a lot of Sierra Leonean women do not feel that when men touch them inappropriately, sexual harassment. So it is only now that we are raising that awareness that when man touch your waist, man touch your body inappropriately, especially within the workspace.
When woman said touch man,
yes, all of this is sexual harassment. Good. But a lot more is happening with with the women, men touching women inappropriately. Although women too can do it. But for me, I feel.
Do you also get to send these messages right down and across schools.
Exactly.
Because when you get it from the lower level, I mean, we all grow up into it.
This is why we're working closely with the Ministry of Education, because then schools are our targets. These are primarily our targets, because a lot of abuse happens in those places as well. And also, it's not only that, making the environment also fit for girls, specifically like an hygiene aspect, because all of these are compounding. You know, if you do not have the appropriate measures in place, the friendly environment to help protect women, sanitation and all of this, it will also not work. So we are working closely. Like I said, we have an MOU with the Ministry of Education, which stipulates all of this and what mechanisms are there. So now we're looking at even getting all guidance counselors again in every school, so that people feel comfortable, you know. We also feel that we should probably look at the local community languages as well when we do our jingles, you know. So translation is ongoing presently in the local languages, especially for people in more rural communities to understand the messaging on the Jury Act and also other laws. It's not only those laws that are there. This is why I keep saying people should commend this government, because only between 2019 to 2022, the laws that have come in place supporting women, you know, the Customary Land Rights Act is also one that is also very much supportive of women owning property. You know, when women are economically empowered, then there is the likelihood that they will take leadership roles. There's a likelihood that their input in decision-making processes in their communities they will participate on. They will have the voice and the agency for them to be able to bring out issues that are affecting women, other women that need the support at community level. Okay. So this is why all of these things are going concomitantly, you know, trying to ensure that we reach the last woman or the last person and the last village in Sierra Leone.
Madam Minister, would have to hold you there, so we'd take a break. It's been interactive and very powerful, I must say, this morning. We still have in the studios the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Dr. Isata Mahoi. Of course, she's brought us up to speed with activities in her ministry, and of course we started off with the 16 days of activism, and that's exactly where I want to take you back. You mentioned the forensic lab, lack of a forensic lab, and that's something that has been a cry or call for a very long time. And it actually aids in helping to, you know, analyze evidence available, whether it's DNA, it's blood or hair, whatever it is, to help out in these cases. Do you think that's a realization we would get with this government?
Certainly. If you have been following the Vice President in the last 1 or 2 weeks, we have been talking about this, and he has been making pronouncements on this. So we are working on this to see how government can start the push for us to get the forensic lab, because it's very critical. And so sometimes where there is no forensic lab, it's either you let perpetrators go scot-free, or you get the wrong person in the cells, convicting the wrong persons, you know. So for me, I feel that it is something that we need if we need justice, and it is one of the stepping stones. So for the coming year, this is one of the biggest things that we hope to achieve as a government. Also, you know, there's a Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, which was also championed by the First Lady. So this one also, we're putting regulations together and also further implementation. Interestingly, it comes to effect on 14th of this month, that is on Saturday, in 2 days. So for me, these are all things that we have worked on, and the government is doing very well in that light to ensure that we implement this. Already implementation has started on the corners, and people are beginning to be aware, because then that particular law makes it very clear. You will go attend married, we know say na underage picking, you say get case for answer. You will go play music day, you said get case for answer. So for me, I believe that these are some of the practicality that we need. And this is why we need to enforce these laws. We do not only want to have them, but we need to enforce them, so that once people see that they begin to arrest and detain people, then it will minimize.
Imagine I was informed. Imagine I was informed as a DJ that I'll be playing in a birthday party.
So you have to ask. You may request for the birth certificate of the child. Yes, so you see how old is this child. This is where MCRA also comes in NACRA, wherein it is also mandatory for every Sierra Leonean to be registered at birth. So you see, this is like a multi-sectoral approach where everybody has its role to play. So where there is a birth certificate, it has to be proven. Even the chiefs, everybody. So you, where they go attend, people married, if you ask, this person where they married, now how old? So you get that particular understanding. Otherwise, when police comes, they meet you, all of you will be apprehended, and then you have a case to answer. So this is the role of the community now, to be able to monitor. Because I know marriages do not come in one day, you know, and sometimes people prepare for it. So during that preparation at community level, people must be aware, and they get information on exactly what is going to happen. So you ask questions, you probe. So all that one they go na community level. If na Temne side, we talk the Temne. If na Mende side, we talk the Mende Limba local. You know, so let people get the understanding. So ignorance of the law is no excuse, but we want to let people understand. This is why we are popularizing these laws, so that they get the clear understanding and don't say "anobino."
So what would you say have been some of the challenges that have actually affected your ministry in the past year?
The lack of resources is one, and also the approach to the communities as well, like in terms of compromising. A lot of these cases, a man go down beat him, or woman go down beat him, then they decide for talk about him. But then there are some dangerous things that occur at community level. You know, look at Umawi roasting husband. The man eventually died. These are issues that we actually need to look at, even though that one is with the police. But sometimes a lot of these cases has to do where we challenge the compromise, and you cannot do otherwise. When the victims say, "My own case do so."
If it was the reverse, you will have heard of it everywhere in the country.
No, but it was there. It was there on social media. I found it on social media. A lot of women also comment and condemn it, and I believe, for me, you commit a crime, you face the consequence. Whether you are a woman or you are a young person. Once you commit crime against the state, it's an offense. You face the consequence of the law. So we are behind the laws. We are behind the police and the judiciary for whoever commits a crime against another person, let the person face the consequence of the law, whether you're a woman or not. Then, just to take you through what we have to do in 2025, of course, all of these laws we continue to popularize and implement. And also, we have International Women's Day, which is also coming, which is very great. It's a statutory obligations as well. But we want to see this time a lot more issues depending on the theme that will get how to also, because the focus will be on Beijing Plus 30. Ending violence against women. So we want to see how we'll also bring in the issue of disability or persons with special needs. We actually want to focus on this and couple up with the statutory obligations that we have throughout the year, coming to the 16 days again for 2025, the International Day of the Girl Child. So there will be different activities. Community outreach will be the key, because there is a lot for the community. For me, I love working with the community, going to the community level, because for me this is where everything happens, but also backing them up with research and data. And we want to see the ministry. We are already having talks with our partners, having a dashboard, like for instance AYV, you will not be challenged in getting data. You go to our website, you look at the dashboard, you see, it will also help you on the hotspot areas where we need to focus more. But we are hoping to get new one-stop centers. We are hoping to get new safe homes, 1 or 2 safe homes as well.
Do you see poverty as one of the greatest impediments to the fight against
this is why the Women's Economic Empowerment Model, which the ministry is also supporting, we want to upscale. Because we are piloting a women's economic empowerment project in Falaba district. You know, Falaba is one of the newest districts in the country. So our focus is there. We'll also establish a one-stop center there. Then this project is also being piloted for women, specifically, supporting women with agricultural inputs and machines, which they already have. The project is ongoing, and also seedlings, and also backing it up with village savings and loans. But moreover, we want to make the financial inclusion aspect look bigger, so we are focusing on the women's banking. We have already seen few initiatives like from Nasu Fofana, who has the women's banking working together with the Sierra Leone Commercial Bank. There is also the financial inclusion project that the World Bank is supporting through Bank of Sierra Leone, wherein SMIDA and others are working closely to ensure at least a 30% quota is given to women. At least this is a minimum, but a lot of women's prospects is there on those particular projects. So we want to lift that aspect, because without financial inclusion, without economic empowerment, women will be nothing. You are not empowered, you do not have a voice, you do not have agency.
Okay, so we do have a lot of messages on our Facebook page, which we would want to read out and of course get your response to, or responses. You want to start?
Yes, first to mind is from Bilkisu Kandetu, who says societal norms, we need to change these rules.
And this is from Simba Cole. I think it's an allegation. He's saying you have a current minister that has abused his own stepdaughter, yet your government is yet to take any action.
Come again, please.
You have a current minister that has abused his own stepdaughter, yet your government is yet to take any action.
And also this one, Ibrahim Senesi Nabi, who says the problem with Salon is that we have so many laws or acts, but implementation is always slow and questionable, or the public is not fully aware of these acts.
Baya Kokoya Adebisi, sorry if I did not pronounce that right. He or she says, Minister, how is your ministry fighting against sexual harassment on young ladies in colleges by some lecturers? Most of these guys are top of the table when it comes to sexual harassment. They are diseases in our community.
Ibrahim Senesi Nabi says community awareness raising is very pivotal for every act. The Customary Land Rights Act of 2022 has so many impactful provisions for women, but a vast majority of women in rural communities are unaware. Also, sometimes the government allocates limited funds for community-wide education.
Mosdi just coming in says, Madam Minister, as one that is responsible for gender affairs, including gender-based violence, I don't know if you're aware of a guy called Ibrahim Yelenke, who is supposedly very close to government, making threats and intimidation and even verbally abusing a senior citizen in Madam Femi Claudio School. If so, has this guy been called to caution?
Again, this one is from this one. Okay, have you seen another message? This one is not clear for me.
Okay, lastly from my part, TJ says we have so many laws in Sierra Leone, but we lack implementation, especially when our families are involved or people from high places.
I think those are the messages we'll take for now. Let's have you to respond.
Okay, so for the implementation, I've said it loud and clear here that we have started implementations, and it's a gradual process to see change. But we are grateful because we are beginning to see results, because of the way and manner in which we are handling these awareness raising programs. People are beginning to report, and people feel confident that they are protected when it comes to issues of that they have reported. So any matter that comes to my ministry's knowledge, we respond to them. For those that do not come to my ministry's knowledge, that I'm not aware about, there's no way I'll get magic. So here is the catch. We have a 116 toll-free line, which you can call. You talk to service providers. There's the ministry, which is situated at number 6 Big Waterloo Street. You have your complaint, you come to that ministry, you'll be listened to. This is where some people have been coming with their issues. On a daily basis, we see many people coming to that ministry, especially when it has to do with children, child support, maintenance, and everything, and also abuse from family members, abuse from husband, or abuse from the wife. So we have also what we call like a case management, which is called the GVBIMS Plus, where people report and there is a new referral pathway. So there's the systems in place. And implementation, because people questioning implementation, it does not happen in one day. So we are doing it. I just want to let the public understand. The issue of somebody abusing Femi Claudia School, she's not the only person they have abused. Even me, I've been abused. People abuse me. People abuse other people because of different interests. But we have not got any complaint from Femi Claudia School. We don't know. This is my first time hearing about this, and it's not very clear to me. So they attack everybody. Once they're in social media, people attack people on a daily basis. And we have seen some of those cases. There's the case of like a government official. Yesterday again, I was on Rise Radio. It came up. I did what I have to play. Even the victim will tell you, because we have been in communication, I played my own part. I supported where I needed to support. So it's an executive discussion. So I cannot come here to say X, Y, Z, but we did our own part as a ministry. And even the victim, if they ask her, she can attest to that, that I played my part. I supported, because I have my own integrity to protect in the future. And whatever case that has to do with people in high places, some of those cases have never come to me. The one that came to me, you saw how I handled the Attila and the wife case, wherein our ministry's role was to protect women and children. We took the children, and the wife, who is very much also was supportive at that particular time. She has been relocated with the mom. The children are there safe. But we are still trying to see how best we negotiate between both of them to see how they can be supportive of each other, because these are married couple. But where protection concerns, we have to protect the victim and also protect the children as well. Okay. So we have played our parts when it comes to protecting people. And for news that I don't get wind of, I don't know, I don't have magic. I'm not a witchcraft to identify those ones. I don't have magic to identify them. So if they don't come to my notice, I have no wind of them. I cannot handle them.
Okay, so what will be your parting message to Sierra Leoneans?
Yes, the parting message is I would like to say thank you very much for giving us the platform to talk about issues affecting women and children, specifically here, young people, the persons with disability, but I also want people to understand that the government remains committed. The government of His Excellency remains committed when it comes to fighting the battle against ending violence against women, and we continue to keep on up to our statutory obligations, and also wants the public to know that issues of violence are to be reported. This is not a fumble case, not a community talk. This is a case where, especially USAI, they don't beat person bad one, they don't rape person. We need to report all of these cases, because most times they lead to death as well at community level. So it's dangerous for people to be concealing these issues, and people for left for compromise. People for always report. People, when you report your matter, be sure of what evidence you are coming to bring to us. Be sure of what decision or action you want government to take, because it's a discussion between you and what you want. Okay. And yes, and justice as well. We want justice to be served. So we're also pleading with the police and the judiciary. So when these cases come to them, they should act in a manner in which they will help to speed up trials, so that people get justice.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister, Dr. Isata Mahoi, Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs. Thank you for making it to the program this morning.